when it comes to video game franchises, there are few as important as Tomb Raider. This series revolutionized platforming and puzzle solving like no other and made a lot of gamers fall in love with the video game protagonist back in the 90s. But if you're new to the series and want to know what all the fuss was and is about, you will want to know where to start, and with 12 mainline entries as well as a few spin-offs, there are a lot of Lara Croft games to choose from. Tomb Raider is set to make a comeback again, with Amazon Games handling publishing rights to the Eidos and Crystal Dynamics developed game that is promised to unify the timelines of the series. So there's exciting times ahead for Tomb Raider fans. But what if you never played a Tomb Raider game before? Where do you start? No idea? That's why Bartoli is here to make things easier for you. There is no right or wrong on which timeline you choose to start with. However, there are a lot of considerations, like do you prefer new generation games, or are you okay to play a 20-year-old game? And if so, do you even have the means to play it? Are you into loneliness and exploration, or do you enjoy combat and action sequences? So that's what I'm gonna dive into here to help you decide for yourself which order you should play the Tomb Raider games in. And then, in the end of the video, I'll also tell you my preferred order. So without any further ado, let's start. First thing you need to know is that there's 3 timelines in the franchise. There's the original timeline, which began with Tomb Raider in 1996 and came to an end 6 games after with 2003's Tomb Raider: The Angel of Darkness. Then there's the Legend timeline, which began with Tomb Raider Legend in 2006 and finished in 2008 with Tomb Raider: Underworld. Finally, there's the Survivor timeline, which started with 2013's Tomb Raider Reboot and ended as a trilogy with 2018's Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Next step, we need to understand if you enjoy playing old games better than the newer ones. If you do prefer old games, or even if you played a random Tomb Raider game back in the 90s and never got back to it, then you should absolutely play the games in order of release. You will for sure have an understanding of the standards of the game from back in the day, and you will probably be a bit more tolerant about the frustrating game design choices and tank controls that perhaps hasn't aged all that well. By starting your journey with the classic games, I believe you will soon understand why the Tomb Raider franchise is so loved by fans, how it evolved game after game, what the developers did wrong or right, and ultimately, you'll understand what makes the series so damn special. But one thing to note, please be patient, and do not try to rush through these games. Simply enjoy every environment, embrace each game's atmosphere, and enjoy the beautiful soundtrack that the series has to offer. I'm sure you won't be disappointed. On the other side, if you can't stand the pixelated graphics of the PS1 era and prefer the new generation consoles, but still want to have a feel of what is so special about Tomb Raider franchise, then I strongly suggest that you start your Tomb Raider adventure with the Steam version or the PS3 HD version of the second game of the second generation, Tomb Raider Anniversary. This is a 2007 remake of the very first game of the franchise, so it incorporates pretty much all of the elements that were displayed on the 1996 PS1 game. This is a controversial opinion, as there are a lot of Tomb Raider fans that believe that this remake doesn't do justice to the original game, but I strongly disagreed, and I'll elaborate on this later on the video. After Anniversary, you should definitely play Tomb Raider Legend and Underworld, and then move on to the 3rd generation on the PS4. By then, you'll have an idea what Tomb Raider is all about, and if you want more Tomb Raider adventures, then I would suggest trying at least 1 or 2 of the classic games on Steam. The graphics are a little bit better, so hopefully you'll be able to play them. Now, if you're a gamer who just wants to have a good time, kill some enemies, and have an enjoyable Tomb Raider experience with no tedious puzzles or backtracking, or if you just want a game full of action and with the best storyline that the franchise has to offer, then I strongly suggest you start your journey with the Survivor trilogy, playing Tomb Raider 2013, then Rise, then Shadow, and make your way backwards playing Legend and Underworld as well. These games are not long and they don't drag as much as the classic games in the franchise. I honestly believe that these are a great choice if you have a busy lifestyle or if you're a person who just makes the most of your gaming time. Personally, after playing all the Tomb Raider games out there, my opinion is that whether you're a new generation guy or a classic gamer, whether you played Tomb Raider game before or not, the best game to start this beautiful franchise that we all care and love is the Steam version or the PS3 HD version of Tomb Raider Anniversary. The reason why I choose Anniversary as the best starting point, it's honestly because of a bunch of reasons. First, it's a remake of the very first game on the franchise. I believe that the best thing that describes Tomb Raider, at least the early games, is the sense of loneliness and discovering in the game. Lara was alone and everything was really quiet until it wasn't. The sound effects and the soundtrack were always on point every time it made an appearance, and every visit that Lara had, whether it was a wild animal or a not very smart human, were fresh and unique, as most of the time it was you and the environment around you, and in my opinion, the developers did a very good job of incorporating these elements on Anniversary. The discovering and exploration is a bit different in Anniversary, but definitely not worse, especially if it's your first Tomb Raider game. Anniversary is much more linear than the original 1996 game, so it made long-time fans not very happy. But at the same time, the puzzles, which is also one of the biggest elements of the series, are much bigger and better as the game takes the original puzzles and improved them by adding much needed platforms and creative traps. While the puzzles on the original game can be a bit hard and frustrating for first-time players, the ones on Anniversary are longer but definitely much easier and fun, which in my opinion, it's great for first-time players. You don't want them to give up on the game just because they don't know what to do next, right? Second, the graphics. I believe that the look of this game is the perfect middle ground for first-time players. The game was developed on a time where games were pushing the graphics to look as realistic as possible, and despite some frame rate issues, the game looks absolutely beautiful. Additionally, Lara looks a bit younger, which gives players a feeling that her raiding adventures are only beginning. Third reason, gameplay. The gameplay in this game is very fun, and contrary to the classic games, it's easy to adapt to. You run, jump, climb, push and swing throughout the areas. The puzzle solving is also a great middle ground, as some puzzles are beautiful places that you have to find your way through. Other puzzles are large obstructions that needs maneuvering in order to gain access to the next stage. Sure, it doesn't have the gameplay of a PS4 or PS5 game, and the quick time events are annoying as hell, but apart from that, it is really not a bad gameplay for a 2007 game. Fourth reason, the music. Music in Tomb Raider is a big thing. I still can't find a Tomb Raider fan that dislikes a soundtrack of an early game. Nathan McCree and Peter Connolly are beloved Tomb Raider composers, and if you ask any fan if they would take them back anytime, I'm sure they would all say yes. Even though Anniversary's music was not done by neither of them, composer Troels Folman did a great job with Anniversary's score, as he created a soundtrack to convey a sense of adventure in a way that could remain faithful to the original game, and in my opinion, he did exactly that. Plus, Tomb Raider Anniversary's theme is definitely in my top 3 Tomb Raider themes of all time. And that's my opinion on where you should start your Tomb Raider experience from if you never played a Tomb Raider game before. Before I wrap it up, I just want to give you one last piece of advice, which I believe it is an unanimous opinion between us all. Do not start your Tomb Raider journey with Angel of Darkness. Maybe just listen to the opening theme and then turn off the system as soon as possible. You will thank me later once you understand why. I hope this video could be of any help for you newcomer, and if you are a long-time fan, be sure to let me know in the comment section below the game that you think it is better for newcomers. If you enjoyed this video, then please do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and until our next adventure.